Tego Skanagoga. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah D'Angelo. I'm an assistant professor in the Theater Arts and Performance Studies Department. I begin this evening by acknowledging and honoring First Peoples First, the Wampanoag and the Narragansett people, the original stewards of this land on which Brown sits and who are still here. I also want to acknowledge the various departments and folks that have made this event possible this evening. The Theater Arts and Performance Studies Department, Jennifer Braga, and the Brown Library, Native American Indigenous Studies Program at Brown, and the staff at the Granoff. I also want to welcome Muriel and Josephine, Muriel Miguel's granddaughter and daughter, who have joined us this evening. Thank you so much. Both performers and cultural changers in their own rights, and I thank you so much for taking time to come up and share with us this evening. It's really an honor to have you here. Our guest this evening is Muriel Miguel. She is joining us from the Endowed Wilmuth Lecture Series. Muriel is of the Guna and Rappahannock Nations and is a founding member and artistic director of the Spider Woman Theater, the longest-running feminist Native American theater company in North America. She has directed and co-written almost all of Spider Woman's shows since their first production, Women in Violence, which performed in 1976. Since then, Spider Woman Theater has produced over 20 original works. Muriel is a 2018 Doris Duke Artist, and in 2016 was a John S. Guggenheim Foundation Fellow. She received an honorary doctorate in fine arts from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, which is the home of the Native American Women Playwrights Archives. She was awarded the Rauschenberg Residency in 2015. She is a member of the National Theater Conference and the Southeastern Theater Conference, where she received the 2019 Distinguished Career Award. Muriel studied modern dance with Alwyn Nicolai, Eric Hawkins, and Jean Urban. She was an original member of Joseph Chaikin's Open Theater, where she performed in groundbreaking works, Terminal, The Serpent, Mare Ubu, and Viet Rock. She is a choreographer, director, and actor. As an actor, she was Mary Deity in the off-Broadway hit Taylor Mack's Lily's Revenge. She created the role of Philomena Wolftail in Rez Sisters by Thompson Highway, a play that is a seminal work in the development of a First Nations play repertory in Canada. She played Aunt Shady in The Unnatural and Accidental Women by Marie Clements, and Spirit Woman in Bones, an Aboriginal dance opera. She has created one-woman shows, Hot and Soft, Trail of the Otter, and most recently, Red Mother. Her latest project is Misdemeanor Dream, which explores the real and fantastical existence of Native and First Nations tricksters and spirits in the stories, languages, and lives of Indigenous people. She has received numerous awards as a member of Spider Woman Theater. These include a retrospect exhibit presented by the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Women's Caucus for the Art, and the Otto Rene Castillo Award for Political Theater. Spider Woman Theater received the first Honoring the Spirit Award for the Arts and Entertainment from the American Indian Community House. As an educator, Muriel was an assistant professor of drama at Bard College. She taught and directed annually at the Center for Indigenous Theater in Toronto and was a director for their 3-week summer intensive program. She's a pioneer in the development of an Indigenous performance methodology and is active in the training of Indigenous actors and dancers. She was a program director for the Aboriginal Dance Program at the Banff Center and an instructor there for 7 years. Her work has been profiled in numerous articles and essays, and her plays have appeared in a host of anthologies and publications. Her work has not only influenced Native theater performance, but mainstream performance theorists and scholars literally worldwide. It is a supreme honor and personal pleasure to introduce Muriel Miguel. Please join me in welcoming her.
Hey, hi. Why don't you come down further? Come on, please. Good to see you. Thank you.
So, oh, I'll be right back.
No, stay there. Can you go into the dressing room?
I
again?
forgot my menu.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh, it's
in the
there.
dressing room.
It's
These
in
are
the
mine.
dressing room.
Thank you.
So can we talk? A long time ago, my daughter and I were at this place, and we had people like this, and we were talking about theater. And thank you. And after we finished talking, a voice from the back of the room said, "Well, who are you?" And I realized at that time that, if anything, Indigenous people have protocol. And I made a huge mistake. My mistake was that I didn't introduce my daughter and myself like we should have. And, you know, who's your aunt, who's your grandmother, who's your mother, you know, all the way down the line. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Nuwaidi. My name is Muriel Miguel. My name is Bright Sun. My name is Waga Nadili. I am from the Star Clan. I am Kuna and Rappahannock. The Kunas come from off the coast of Panama. They have a sovereign nation called Kunayala. I am Rappahannock from Virginia and the Powhatan Nation. And also, you won't know it until I say Pocahontas. And Pocahontas was part of the Powhatan Nation. And that's the only thing Disney did to help us. That we know. Everyone knows who Pocahontas is now. And I am an actress, a director, used to be a dancer before my operation. So I want to start talking about this picture here. This picture is from a Connecticut powwow in 1965, the first powwow that ever happened in this East Coast. And I'm not talking about, you know, pageants or anything. I mean a real powwow. And this was the Native community coming out of New York City, mostly from New York City. And all of these are people that came to New York City and Brooklyn from all over the country. A lot of these families are still living in Brooklyn and in New York. The young ones at the bottom, that's me, one of them. My father, my aunts, my uncles, my mother, my sisters, they're all in that picture. When I do these type of talks, a lot of time I leave it there on the side. And young people will come up and they'll find their grandmother or grandfather. And I think that's so great, that you can find a relation in there. And there's a lot of Mohawks in there. Because they came down from Canada. They were everywhere. That's right. So that's, to me, one of the wonderful things about being Native in New York City. My mother and father met in Brooklyn. They married in Brooklyn. They had their children in Brooklyn. So I am truly a city Indian and proud of it. You learn different things being a city Indian. And as we grew up, part of it was that some of us, let's put it like this. We were, at the time, there was a law that said that you could not do any of your ceremonies. And so a lot of people, especially from the West and the Southwest, didn't know what to do. They had to pass on this knowledge, these songs, these dances. And they came across country. And my friends and I, we all grew up, we all lived next door to each other. We're like, we would take anything. We would listen to anything. We would listen to the stories. We'd learn the songs. We learned the dances. I can dance Southern and Northern because of that. And they, at that time, Thomas Banyaka came to the house. They, at that time, really had to pass this on. It was necessary to pass this on. So we, as very young kids, learned a lot of things that we should not have even known, but we had to learn it. And as we got older, we became a group called the Little Eagles. And we went into, the first thing that happened was that we all got in trouble because we were in public high school. And the social studies people said that we were not alive and our culture was dead. And every one of us stood up and said something about that. And we got into big trouble to the principal's office and everything. And then we just decided that we would go into schools and talk about who we were. And that's what we did. And we were kids from all over. We were Iroquois, we were Kuna, we were Hopi, we were Ho-Chunk, we were all these people. And at the same time, our families, our parents were really excited that we were doing this. So that's a story of being in Brooklyn. I grew up and I was a dancer, and then I was a modern dancer, and I still danced, I still did Native dancing, but it was completely separate from modern dance. I wouldn't talk about it, I wouldn't say anything. I was undercover Indian. And that's how it was for a very long time until I really got really upset with all these people, and hearing how they talk about Native people was a bit much. So I became a dancer, and then I went into acting, and I met a man named Joe Chaikin that was from Open Theater. And then I started to really understand what I was doing in theater and in dance. I was, a crazy, very crazy young person. And, it always felt like I was going upstream, everyone was going downstream. There I was going upstream. And that's hard to do. I did a dance about a trombone. I have no idea how to play a trombone, but I had a great time working with a trombone. So, and then I worked for a long time as as an actress, and toured and did all of that. And then one day, the director, Joe Chaikin, discovered storytelling. Now, he really discovered it. There was nothing I could say. He discovered storytelling. And of course I understood storytelling. I understood storytelling from my bottom of my feet all the way up. Yeah, I understood storytelling. And they would say that. They would say, "Oh, Muriel, you're such a great storyteller." And so I did that for a while, but I started to realize that storytelling for us is very, very important. How we tell the stories is very, very important. And I started to work with different people telling stories. And then I realized that stories don't have to start from the beginning. They can start from the end, they can start from the middle. They can start any place. They can start from a word. And that storytelling to all of us Native people was quite different. You know, the stories that you hear under the kitchen table, how important it is to know that story about your family, how your Aunt Mary met Uncle Joe, how why somebody didn't get married, why this, why that, how important that is, and important to the family, and your attachment to the family, and how that goes on and is repeated. And so I started to really look at storytelling from that perspective. And then I realized that a story is not only a story. One story could have 5 stories in it. And so I started to work with the idea of how do you make the connections of those stories. So here are some of the ones that I wanted to show you. So this is a New Haven powwow. And then I want to introduce you to my family. There's my sister, Lisa. She was the oldest. My sister, Gloria. And me. You could tell I was going to be a director then. My father. That's my father and my uncle playing the pipes from Kunayala. My mother. And a family portrait. And this is the Rappahannock side of the family. They wore turkey feathers. Okay. And, okay. I started this group, Spider Woman, and what's so important was that the people that were in Spider Woman were very close to me and still part of my family. And with Spider Woman, we did this piece. There was my very best friend, and we put her on 2 blocks of like wooden blocks, and she was like suspended in the air. And we dropped, what she did was finger weaving, and we dropped this piece of finger weaving from the ceiling down so she could use it. And I had a river that I played on the floor, and one side of the river was a white woman, Lois Weaver, and myself was on the other side. And Lois told a story, a dream that she had about making love to Jesus. And I told a story about the Sundance and talking to a butterfly. And Josephine was up on this on these 2 blocks finger weaving and telling the story of Spider Woman, who is one of the big creation stories. And we started to understand, listening to it, how you can breathe one word, how you can say one word, and that all 3 of you have it. And then at times where one of you is talking, and then another one will come in, and how heavy the words are, the depth of a word. And that was the first time I ever really story weaved. And I started to understand what I was trying to get from my head. So that was the first one. And out of it, her name was Josephine Mofsey Tarrant, and she passed away and left 5 children. She was my best friend. And her youngest son married my daughter. And out of it came a granddaughter. So I always feel that in this life, Josephine Mofsey Tarrant and Muriel Miguel are grandparents together for this one daughter. But it's all part of my kind of theater when I talk about it. This is my theater. This is how I approach theater. There's so much to talk about. Okay. So when Spider Woman started, it was really, really hard because we were all married and we were all feminists, and here we were trying to say something, and we had these husbands that, if they went, if they went to baseball games or anything, well, that was fine. But we wanted to do this. What's wrong with you? So we fought this all the time. We all had children, and we fought it constantly. So then we started to work, and we went on tour. We went to Baltimore. That was the first tour we had. And the piece that we did was called Women in Violence. And Women in Violence was really talking about abuse to women being battered. And I remember meeting Luis Valdez, and he was asked, who would you ask to go to this very fancy place in France that was a festival going on? And he said, well, if you don't take Spider Woman, don't take anybody. So I got this fancy letter, all in French, couldn't speak French, running around trying to get it translated, and found out that we were invited to Nancy. And it's a world festival. And so I borrowed money. I got out a loan. I had a benefit at Public Theater in New York City, invited people like Ellen Stewart to be an MC, Raul Julia to talk, and Jerry Ragney from Hair to talk. And I got money. I really made money to go to Europe. And I got these U-Rail passes, and so we all went off to Europe. I don't know, it's really crazy. How can you do that? I mean, I got there, and I also all of a sudden realized, I'm responsible for 9 women. And, what do I say? What do I say if they disappear? Dear so-and-so's mother, So I was really scared. But again, we polarized all these theater people. We had fights outside the door. Men were hissing at us, and women were fighting the men that were hissing. It was really remarkable. And at the same time, they said, oh, that's something American. We don't do that. We don't beat up our women. What liars. And it was just amazing. And we were invited all over all over Europe. And we came back, we were supposed to go, I think, it was like a couple of weeks. We came back, maybe it was like 3 or 4 months. And that was really the beginning of our touring and working as, you know, as feminists in the kind of work that we wanted to do. And let's see. And that was the first tour. So I would like to show you some of the pieces of Women in Violence. And the Women in Violence came out of how enraged I was walking down the street and men whistling at me, walking down the street and men saying dirty, awful things to me. How even in the so-called revolution of American Indian movement, we were treated like we were the luxuries, you know. You could rape her, you could do whatever you wanted with her, you know. You were a man. And I really realized that if I didn't get away from this, I was going to really be hurt. And I was very angry, and I was very angry about how the young men were coming up because they were being taught by the older men. So I did this piece called Women in Violence, and that was the first piece that went to Europe. I wanted to be as rash and as brash and as terrible as I could be. And what I found out, you know, working in feminist theater, that a lot of times it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And only that, they hit you over the head. You get hit over the head, you get hit over the head, you get hit over the head, and you don't say anything except, ow. And you have to think about that to have someone listen to you, you have to give them more than ow. So I devised all kinds of jokes. I went around and collected dirty jokes. I did all these things, and it wasn't only me. I say I, but you know, the whole group. We did all of this. And then I was so beyond how men took this, you know, that we were still nothing, and how dare you do things like this. So it got worse for me. So, you know, public exposure. Now so we did a whole thing on public exposure. So we did things like da 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 dee da da dee da da da. And what could happen? You go, you go, ah! You could do all these things from something like dee da 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 dee da da da. Then we made this big, strong, long dance and song. And this got bigger and bigger. Ya da da dee da da dee da da da. Shocked everybody. They laughed very hard, and then they were even more shocked that they laughed at it. So then the dirty jokes started to really come, and making, you know, really catching people like, oh my God, I really laughed at that. How terrible. Mm-hmm. So that was Women in Violence. Women in Violence. Ah, yes. This is me. I had this is my sister. She played the perfect woman. She was wearing this big wig, and she put white face on. And I played, I didn't realize at that time, a trickster. I had this long tail, and we had a nun and a homeless woman. And we were amazingly raggedy. We went from floor to floor in a couple of buildings and picked through garbage to get these wonderful outfits. And this is what we took to Europe that men were so upset about. We looked like hell. And each one of us developed a character, and that's what's important in this kind of theater. That one of us said, I have this idea, so how do you develop it? And each one of us went home and worked on it, and then came back and said, I want a halo, an aluminum halo, as the radical nun. And then she got a cartridge belt that she wore. My oldest sister, she asked someone to make a perfect figure on black shirt and leotards that she was wearing. So she had this perfect figure. And then she made blue eyes. No one knew that she was brown. She covered everything up and put on white face and blue eyes. And that's what Trudeau should have done. And became the perfect woman. The other woman, she really looked for all kinds of stuff that she didn't want to be beautiful, and she wanted to be homeless. And so she just collected and collected layers and layers of stuff. Is there another one? No?
Not a woman in violence.
That's it. Okay. So, we then, after we took women in violence around, we kind of got bored of it. And so we thought we would like to work on another piece. And the piece that we worked on was called Lysistrata Numba. And we talked about sex, power, and control. And so we did things like signed a pact that we would not make love to our husbands for a month. Very interesting, I guess. And it was very interesting because it was the first time a lot of us started to talk about coming out as two-spirit women. It was the first time. And some of us didn't understand it. Some of us had different feelings about it. And so it took all of Lysistrata for us to figure it out. And I still didn't understand it when we closed Lysistrata. But Lysistrata, played by my elder sister as a hula dancer, she said things like, now you can go back to your husband, you can go back at your home, and everything will be nicey nice. And some of the women said, but suppose we don't want to do that. Suppose I want to go back with her. What, are you trying to mess around with me? She said. And so all of that came into a creation story that we start anew again. And there was a big creation story that went into A Pretty Girl Is Like a Melody. And that was the first time of really, now we're really into dangerous ground, all of us, of who we are. And I don't know, what do we have? I was doing a tango. This was discovering all the holes in us. And there's my oldest sister as Lysistrata.
So it's everything. Like our theater is really our lives. Pretty girl. My name is Lisa, and I have arthritis on my knees.
Oh, my name is Pam, and I have a rash on my ass.
My name is Gloria, and I have a big scar on my belly. too fat.
Messy, huh? So, and the other thing that we did, oh, I'll be right back to that in a second. The other thing we did is that in this group, we were really fascinating to me. They didn't like it. I was fascinated with this group. We were short, tall, fat, divorced, married, mothers, gay, straight. We were all those things. And I thought it was wonderful. Unfortunately, nobody really got along. But it was wonderful because it was like putting something down like this and you take your hands away and they go, and I loved that. And so we did eventually break up, but more about that. So this is a piece that we did, and this was really scary because we did cabaret. And the kind of cabaret, we were talking about romance, and we called it An Evening of Disgusting Songs and Pukey Images. And we sent up all the stuff. And one of the things that we sent up was all those awful songs that Indian songs, boom, 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 and we set that off, and we really sent it up, and that's what this is. We did awful things. We did totem poles, and I mean, really awful things. In the land of Danta lives a girl, oh, yada, 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 oompa, oompa, and we did suggestive gestures. and we came down from all kinds of places. We came down from the rafters, we came indoors, and we had every one of these outfits we designed ourselves proudly. So we were asked to show this at the American Indian Community House. And all my mother's old friends were going to be there, and I was wearing something that showed everything. And it was net and sparkly, but you could still see my nipples. And and my friend said, you can't do that. You can't go out in front of her like that. So she put Band-Aids on me. I went out with Band-Aids. But we were so scared because we were doing these awful songs in front of our whole community and dancing about it. But what was wonderful was that the community understood what we were talking about. They understood that we were singing, why we were singing these songs. And it was a confirmation, that I understood why I was scared, but I also understood that they understood. So, do we have a...
No, we don't have video.
We don't have a video of that. Okay. Okay. So we took An Evening of Disgusting Songs and Pukey Images. We took that to Europe. And we were so successful, we ended up staying more than 6 months. And when we came back, we weren't talking to each other. And you can understand why. It means awful hotels in and on and off railroads. It was really hard. And if I wasn't 14, I couldn't have done it. So, so one of the things happened was that we split up. And so part of the group wanted to have lesbian theater. Well, it's hard to have lesbian theater if you don't have lesbians in the group. We had 2 lesbians. And I wasn't out then yet. So it was so hard for my sisters because they didn't understand what the other women were talking about. They were older women, and they didn't understand it. So we split up, and they became Split Britches, which is another wonderful, wonderful group that's around. And we stayed Spider-Woman. And then, like a whole bunch of us came out. So, but also at the same time, Split Britches wrote a story about Split Britches and her family. And we wrote about our family, Sun, Moon, and Feather. And I think we have a Sun, Moon, and Feather. Yeah, okay. So this is one of the stories called The Boat Story. That's me.
Every summer, my family went to the beach. We had a big, beautiful red and white bungalow on a beautiful beach by a beautiful bay.
Cedar Beach was an old bungalow on a dirty beach off a dirty, polluted bay.
Well, there was a fish house, and twice a day there was a god-awful odor.
My father bought a big, beautiful red and white boat with a great big windshield and a great big motor.
That boat was just a little bit bigger than a rowboat, and it had a motor in it that never worked.
My father would stand at the helm of that boat with his brown safari hat on and his wooden staff, and he'd look out over the ocean. He was going to sail the 7 seas. The only trouble was,
It never went into the water. It just stayed in the backyard.
and every summer, my father would paint it, caulk it, pet it, hose it down, and then all our family and all our friends would come, and we would push it to the other side of the yard.
And then we would pose by it, on it, and under it. And Daddy and Uncle Joe would stand at the helm and pretend. And then next summer, my father would paint it, caulk it, pet it, hose it down, and then all our family and all our friends would get together, and we'd push it to the other side of the yard. And then we would pose by it, on it, and under it. And Daddy and Uncle Joe would stand at the helm and pretend. And the next summer, my father would paint it and caulk it and pet it and hose it down, and all our friends and relatives would push it to the other side of the yard. And then one summer, it was ready to go into the water. My mother gave a party. She made punch, potato salad, and sandwiches. And all our friends and relatives pushed it into the water.
It started to take on water.
It was like a sieve.
We had to bail out the water.
And then it sunk. Then Daddy said, "Oh, well, next summer."
So that was called Sun, Moon, and Feather, and that is, parts of our native names that we used to do that piece. When we did this piece in Canada, what was so amazing was we have another piece in it called Daddy's Drunk. And so many Native people, gathered around us and started telling their war stories to us. Every one of us going, ha, 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 ha. And then we looked out and we realized the outer circle of people that were not Native were standing there in horror. And here we are laughing about it. But that's what makes our story so strong for us, that the deadliest stories can be shared and how we share them. So that story about the boat is certainly from how our family looked at this boat, this wonderful boat that never went into the water, And there was something else I want to say about that. Oh, yeah, so we went to Canada, and we did it at Harborfront, and these three little girls, after we came down, one came up and said, "Hello, I'm Elizabeth." Another one said, "I'm Gloria." Another one said, "I'm Muriel." And their mother said, this is the first time they've ever seen women of their color and who they are, that they're Native women on stage, and they're so excited. And it was like, oh my gosh. And it was the first time we were so busy trying to keep, our heads above water, that we never realized that we were role models. It didn't occur to me. I never thought of it that way. I was trying to make more, food for the table, and trying to spread the word. But I never thought of myself as a role model. And then one of the chiefs that we knew since I was a kid, Oren Lyons, talked to us about working on another piece. And then we decided that we had to be all Native. It was really important to be all Native. That what we were saying, we had to bring out and bring it forward. So we did the boat story. So one of the things that Oren said was that there are so many people stealing, trying to steal our religion, our thoughts, and what are we going to do about it? So I read a book by a man called Karl May, who did this thing called Winnetou. And he made it into a film. He did all these things, and it's about this white man who, he's German, who is better than the Indian. So much better, and he could do anything. Not only that, but he has a sister that's beautiful, a man called Winnetou. You know why she's beautiful? Because she looks like a white woman. So I started thinking about that. One of the first things we did was make beautiful costumes. And we got lame. We got shoes to match the lame. We got funny-looking braids. And we did this piece called Winnetou Snake Oil Show from Wigwam City. And this next piece is part of it.
I used to be a white woman. It's true. I was Irish. German. I was Scandinavian. And then, one day I woke up and my skin turned beige. And my cheekbones got higher. And I became a shamanist. It's true, I'm a shamanist. Ooh. Oh. There's this vision I must share with you. I was in the subway on the platform waiting for the F train when all of a sudden I heard this sound. Oh, oh, oh. And the whole world started to recede. I looked up, and coming towards me was this white light. No, it was not the F train. It was a white buffalo! And seated on top of that white buffalo was a noble savage, naked, save for his loincloth. His skin was the color of sunset bronze with just a goat. His hair was the color of Lady Clairol number 154. And he wore it in braids down to here. Interlaced in those braids was rattlesnake skin. And growing out of his scalp was an eagle feather, signifying he was a chief. I'm a shamanist. He's a chief. It's true. I'm a shamanist. It's true. Ooh, ooh, ooh. From under his noble brow were these cold black eyes, and I could feel the energy going zip, zip, zap, zap, zip. Those cold black eyes were burning like coals, and those eyes seared my skin and pierced my heart. His lips were moving. They were the color of choked cherries. What did you say? Oh, please say it again. What? Say it again. Right. He was talking to me. It's because I'm a shamanist. It's true. I'm channeling. I'm a shamanist. You're cheating her. Well, tell I do. You're crying through the whole night through. My tears will come. You're the holy Indian snake oil. 2 weeks ago, that woman was nothing but a plain old white woman. But after taking one good sip of our Yasta Holy Indian snake oil, she now has a Cherokee grandmother. All black grapes down to here. A bona fide Indian. The last day powwow workshop. Welcome, welcome to our plastic powwow workshop. Where you will get a package deal of 2 days and 3 nights, plus a coupon worth $100 towards the purchase of Yasta Holy Indian Snake Oil.
So we went on. And one of the things was that we talked about our father a lot, but we didn't talk about my mother, who unfortunately, no, I shouldn't say unfortunately, she was a psychic. Unfortunate for me. I could never lie to her. How can you have a mother that you can't lie to? You know, boyfriends would come in and she'd touch them and say, that's funny. Who needs that? So we did this in honor of our mother. It's called Reverberations. And we did it with a hammock. And on the hammock, we put a big cowbell. And we had a big drum. It was the first time we had a big drum. We got one of the guys to teach us a song. It was really amazing how going back and bringing my mother forward and starting to understand what she was trying to say to us and how she said it. And for me, it was very hard because I realized I was so ashamed of her. I was so ashamed that she wore very long skirts. She was called in the Italian neighborhood that we grew up in, strega, witch, because she was really good at reading tea leaves and coffee grinds. She was really good at this. And the women came to her, but then they would call her names behind her back. And it was in this piece, I started to realize the strength of my mother and the strength of how she used and taught us in a way how to use that feelings that we have, how to express it. And that, I don't know, do we have a piece from that?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that. Okay. Okay.
I had this tiny, tiny apartment. And out the kitchen window, I would see one yard, another yard, and my family's house and their yard. Sometimes, when I would look out of that window over the first and second and my family's yard, I would see my family. Sometimes my mother, my Uncle Frank, my Aunt Ida. They'd be sitting in this chair by the shed, staring out over the yard. They'd be sitting there quiet, just staring out over the yard. What do you see? Do you see Grandma? Do you see Grandpa? Uncle Davy? Someday, I will look out and I will see you sitting in that chair by the shed, looking out over the yard, and you will not be there. I sit in this chair and I look, what do I see? daffodils, pussy willows, string of colored lights. When you are gone, what will I see? I sit in a chair by the shed and I'm staring out over the yard. My daughter looks down at me. Mom! What do you see? Someday, I will see you sitting there in the chair by the shed, and you will not be there anymore.
So that is reverberations and talking about the family and how it's passed down, always passed down. And all of us have that. So I started to work with other women at a place called Banff in Canada. And I remember us feeling so dissatisfied with just doing ballet and nothing meaning anything to us. So I was walking with these two women, and I said, "What would you like to do? What kind of dance would you like to do?" And we were just three walking along a path, and one said, "I'd like to talk about and the feel about having a baby." Another one said, "I want to jingle dance to Tina Turner." And so I started writing, and I started to write about spirits and people coming down from someplace else and sending things down. And I wrote this piece. It's called Throwaway Kids. I also wrote it because at that time, there were three things happening. One was that babies were being found in those big trash cans. I forget the name of it. And that was one thing that was happening. The other thing was that a young baby on a reservation, and we knew everybody on the reservation. The baby died, and it sent. I watched the young parents, and I felt how the feeling of these young parents of how it could be to lose a child. And it was really heavy on the res. And the other thing was happening, that Miss America did this dance in a little fringe thing and fake braids, and she had a pipe, and she did this dance about death. And she did this dance about where some people burned their dead. And she did this modern dance around it with her blonde hair. And I was just beyond myself that this could happen. And at the same time, this was happening on the res. At the same time, this was happening someplace else. And that kids could be thrown away. I could see how hard it was for all those young parents. And then this woman is trying to make Miss America out of doing this dance around what are they called, pyres, huh? So I went back and I wrote this piece. And I like to use all the modern stuff. And why not? Why can't we use the modern stuff like everyone else? And just put it into where it is for us. So this piece is from that. Am I right?
She landed a long, 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 long time ago.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh how I need you. But all you do is treat me bad, break my heart and leave me sad.
Oh! Cosmos missed her.
Tell me what did I do wrong to make you stay away so long? 'Cause baby love, my baby love, been missing you, miss kissing you. Instead of breaking up, let's do some kissing and making up. Don't throw our love away. In my arms now, don't you stay, need you, need you, baby love.
She was small. She was large. She was smooth. She was rough. She was beautiful. She was beautiful. She was not beautiful. A long, 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 long time ago.
Baby love, my baby love, why must we separate, my love? All of my whole life through, I never loved no one but you. Why you do me like you do? I get this need, need to hold you once again, my love. Feel your warm embrace, my love. Don't throw our love away. Please don't do me this way. Not happy like I used to be. Loneliness has got the best of me, my love. My baby love, I need you, oh, I need you. Why you do me like you do? After I've been true to you, so deep in love with you, baby, baby, ooh, till it's hurt me, till it's hurt me, ooh, baby.
And that was Throwaway Kids. So I went back to Banff and what happened was I was working with this woman, Uta Birnbaum, and they brought in all of these various native people from around Canada. And she was from Germany, she was from the Berliner Ensemble, and we were going to look, these Indians, we were going to look at justice. The only trouble was the justice was not there because Uta refused to let us go. We couldn't talk about it. She wanted to direct it. So someone said to me, well, what's going on? Is it exciting? And I said, well, it's kind of like an Indian making believe they're German. And that's what it was. We were making believe we were German. And I fought for everything after that. She wanted me to do, you know, one of the pieces, and I had to fight for my high tops, my beaded high tops. I had to fight for that. I had to fight for the skirt. Because I was determined that this was going to be a native woman. And so I did it, and I still was feeling like this is not really what I want, not really what I wanted to explore. So I started to think about all the women in our lives that we don't, it's that same shame, you know, the prostitutes, the drunkards, the dope addicts, the women that left their children. So what are they? Who are they? What do they mean to us? And how can you be so changed in a way, yet love? How can you pull something from that child that you want, but never let go of that child? All of this was the stuff that I was thinking about. So I wrote this piece, and it's about, it's loosely based on, what's his name? Deborah? Brecht, thank you. It's loosely based on Brecht, and I called it Red Mother. And, well, this is a piece of Red Mother, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm taking it off.
That's my horse.
My horse. Come on, Fred. Fred. Come on. We're gonna get killed, Fred. Come on, Fred. Fred, come on. No, we'll pick this up later. We need it now. Come on. This is my horse, Blue Fred. Now, you may ask, why Fred? Well, you see, I heard a farmer calling for his son across the prairie. Fred! It sounded like a shooting star. Fred! Now, Fred here used to be white, but as luck would have it, fortunately or unfortunately, Fred got into some moccasin weed. Now that stuff just tears up your stomach. Forget about the noise and the smell and the trail of shit. So here we were, sneaking along a trail. And Fred here was farting and stinking and leaving a trail of shit. And I said, Fred, you're going to have to do something about this noise, or I'll have to do something. And he didn't. So, I took a corn cob and I shoved it up his ass. Fred turned blue. But quiet.
So that was Red Mother. By the way, it was directed by my daughter. And talking about that we really come from a family of theater people. From my father doing snake oil shows and you know, we were showbiz Indians when I was growing up. And then, you know, we started to really do theater. And every one of us, I think, I have Muriel Tarrant, that's my daughter, that has developed into a really wonderful writer, and I think that's great, an actress. And I have a granddaughter who has a great voice and is also acting. My sister Gloria has a daughter who is a great actress, very good, and she has a son who is a Tribe Called Red. Does anyone know a Tribe Called Red? Well, that's Bear, that's my nephew. So, I mean, that's a lot of people. A lot of people that we are, and we hope, and I think this is part of it, is that we hope that this legacy will go on, that there will be generations and more generations of us, and that we will make a mark somehow, somewhere, on these dirty roads and crazy places. So this is the last one, I think. Is it?
Well, let's see. Jen,
Oh.
can we do one more?
What? Are you okay? You're okay? Did you wave your hand yet? Okay, one more. Okay. Okay. Oh no, it's two more. Is that all right? So, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was that, oh, is that a spirit? It's a piece that I worked on with a bunch of women, and called Material Witness. And I realized that 40-something years ago, we worked on women in violence, and how we are 42 years later, and not much has changed for Native women. And all, you know, surrounding us are all the things that, you know, Idle No More, not Idle No More, Me Too, and all of this, it has helped other women. But we are still being abused, we are still disappearing, we are still being murdered. I mean, babies are disappearing. It's amazing. So I went back to the old pieces that I did for women in violence, and I invited other people to work with us, and we came up. Is this Material Witness now? Yeah?
Yes.
We came up with this called Material Witness, and we've been traveling into the mouth of the lion, so to speak. We've been in Canada, where all these different places, Sault Ste. Marie and Thunder Bay, where there's been heavy, heavy trafficking, and we did this piece.
I started to run. And I ran till I got to Emily's house. And I said to Emily, I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. And Emily said to me, what did you do to him, Gloria?
Gloria?
What did you do to him, Gloria?
What did you do to him?
Set you high, dream, and won't you play?
how'd you get between their little legs?
I know, I get it.
Do you guys have holes in your panties?
No.
Well, how do you put them on?
Look, Beatrice has a bunch of holes in there.
I got one. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
To go visit the idiot. Knock, knock.
Who's there? Who's there?
The chicken! Because I'm the chicken and you're the idiot. No. And I was knocking. And I'm
It's offensive.
10, 9, 8. And there he was, right in back of me. 10,
Turn the key
9,
slowly. 99,
8.
98,
And there he was,
97,
right in back of me.
100,
10.
99,
I turned the key
98,
slowly.
97.
And there he was, right in back of me.
It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was walking home with my laundry.
Turned the key slowly.
And there he was, right in back
I
of me.
was doing my laundry. I was doing my laundry. 100, 99, 98, 97, 97,
And there he was, right in back of me.
Turned the key
95. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was doing my laundry. I was walking up the steps to my apartment. Whoosh! Someone goes around me. Careful. A man jumps down off the steps and back of me. Don't turn around. I feel something sticking in my ribs. I have a gun. Open the door.
Right in back of me.
Even if I scream, no one would hear me. No one is home.
turned.
I get a sickening feeling as I turn my key in the lock. He pushes me in, grabs me by the wrist, he starts dragging me all around the apartment. That's when I realized it wasn't a gun. It was a big fucking hunting
It
knife.
wasn't a gun, it was a big fucking hunting knife.
Where's the money? Where's the drugs? He's pushing the place apart. Ah. He makes me kneel. I'm a sack and fox woman. He makes me kneel. Oh, that really pisses me off. I start looking for my opportunities. He lets go of my wrist. He turns his back on me. And that's when I grab my big, heavy glass piggy bank and I clock him with it. I make a dash for the door. I go down. I see the flash of the hunting knife. He grabs me by the throat. Ah, this is it. This is it. I look him right in the face and I go, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. He lets go of me. He says, go in the bathroom and count to 100 slow. And I won't hurt you.
99,
99, 98, 97. My hand closes around a bottle of Lysol spray, and I snap off the lights. 97, 97, 96, 95. And that's when I realized that I would rather fight and die than live as a victim.
Okay. And then I want to talk about legacy just for a moment. And I want to show this. It's called I Understand. And I mean, what do we leave behind? How do we leave it behind? And it's a thought that now that I'm older, I really think about it, really sincerely think about it. Like, what is legacy, and what do we as Native people want to leave behind, and how do we leave it behind? So I want to show this. This is the last one.
Feel like an eagle in the air, a long, long way from home, a long, long
go back eons and eons and eons. Where you place your hand, your foot is padded with generations of us. We come from a long, long, long ago, just to be here with you.
I didn't understand then,
I understand.
but she understands now.
My family, my nation, my creator, my life, sing for the next generations. Hey, Anna, hey, hey, Anna, hey, hey, Anna, hey, ah, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, Anna, hey, hey, Anna, hey.
And that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have for you, Muriel, I'd like to call up the Native Americans at Brown, our student association, and they have a gift for you.
Oh. Oh, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Now what? Oh, Q&A, okay.
Does anybody have questions? No? Yeah, so we have some refreshments out in the hallway. Is that where they are? Yes. Why don't we go out and have some refreshments?
Okay. You don't get any if you don't ask me a question.